Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another episode of Call of Duty Zombies Myth-Busting Mondays. In today's video, for the final myth, we are going to be doing a spiritual sequel to the myth from the last episode, which is going to be for this week, can you launch George Romero with the Flinger trap in Call of the Dead? So we are going to be doing that at the very end of the episode and seeing whether or not George Romero basically can fly. If you guys end up enjoying today's video and you guys end up looking forward to the myths that we have for this week, please make sure you guys drop a like to show your guys' support, and comment down below if there's any myths of your own that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode. With all that being said, guys, I hope you end up enjoying this week's episode of Call of Duty Zombies Myth-Busting Mondays. Myth: are there smiley faces inside of the prisoner zombies in Mob of the Dead? Alrighty guys, so let's start off this episode with a banger myth, one that could have easily been the final myth, but we're going to have it at the beginning of the episode instead. So as our game is starting, I am letting the zombies approach the windows and getting into the spawn. I am specifically waiting for the prisoner zombie once again because this is the zombie that we have to check for this myth to end up taking place. And once I am able to end up killing a prisoner zombie, I will then no-clip into the map a little bit so that way I can end up being at level with the body, so that way I can be able to look inside of them properly. God, that sounds wrong. And then I'm going to see if whether or not I can find a smiley face. Okay, so I'm turning on no clip with console commands. I'm going to take a look inside the body, and yeah, there indeed is a smiley face inside of the prisoner zombies. I don't know why this is here, but it's an interesting little Easter egg, I guess. So that means that myth number 1 is confirmed. There is indeed smiley faces inside the prisoner zombies in Mob of the Dead. Really cool attention to detail, and shows you why Mob of the Dead is one of the best maps in the entire series. Speaking of Mob of the Dead, myth: does the M1911 cycle through the mystery box in Mob of the Dead? Alrighty guys, so let's head over to the cafeteria and end up hitting the mystery box. Even though you can't end up getting the M1911 outside of spawning with it, it is supposedly going to cycle through. And it looks like for certain frames, the M1911 does indeed flash inside the mystery box on Mob of the Dead. I don't know why it is in here, but it definitely is in here for sure, meaning that myth 2 is confirmed. Maybe Treyarch decided to have another troll weapon in Black Ops 2 like the War Machine or the SMR, where you could possibly end up getting the M1911 again inside the mystery box. Myth: can you open the Pack-a-Punch by placing the turbine near the AK-74U wall buy at the power station in Tranzit? Alrighty guys, so we are loaded up here on Tranzit, and when it comes to Tranzit, for those of you guys that are familiar with the map, you will remember how that when it comes to the Pack-a-Punch, it is located at the bank inside of town. But in order to Pack-a-Punch, you still need to place a turbine at the power station right here where this lightning bolt door is, and then the lightning bolt door that's at the bank will shortly thereafter open, allowing you to be able to Pack-a-Punch. The problem is, though, is that by ending up having to place the turbine near this lightning bolt door, it causes you to have to end up running around the entire power station to get back out and then be able to end up making it so that we get to things like the bus on time, or just be able to get back in the spot that you were at for maybe perhaps the AK-74U wall buy. So we are going to be seeing if whether or not we can make this easier on ourselves by placing the turbine instead just before this lightning bolt door at the AK-74U wall buy that is just right before you jump down into the power station. So while I get set up, Dan is going to be at town waiting on standby, so that way as soon as I end up placing the turbine down, he can check to see if the Pack-a-Punch is now open. So now that I'm done killing a few zombies so that way they will not destroy the turbine as soon as I place it, I'm going to place it right near the AK-74U wall buy and see if the turbine is strong enough to reach the lightning bolt door and therefore open up Pack-a-Punch. And it looks like that from Dan's POV, as soon as I place the turbine down, even though it's not right directly at the lightning bolt door, it does indeed open the Pack-a-Punch room. It looks like that the turbine has a stronger radius than we have thought throughout all of these years, meaning that if you truly wanted to, you can end up placing the turbine at the AK-74U wall buy here and avoid having to jump down into the power station multiple different times. So that means that myth 3 is confirmed here today, and if you wanted to save yourself some time while trying to Pack-a-Punch on Tranzit, you can now. Myth: while taking a launch pad in Revelations, while holding a frag grenade, will you live from the explosion? Alrighty guys, so we're loaded up into Revelations here, and I'm going to be opening one of the spawn doors so I can immediately get access to a launch pad, and then I'm going to cook a frag grenade in my hand while taking said launch pad and seeing if whether or not I'll live or die. So while in the air, the frag grenade does indeed go off, and I end up living. Unlike Dan here, who ends up doing the same thing as me, but his grenade ends up killing him because he landed just before it exploded. So believe it or not, Myth 4 is also confirmed. I believe that the reason why that this is the case is because they probably didn't want you to be able to end up dying and clipping through the map, but unless we ask Treyarch themselves, I guess we'll never know. Alrighty guys, and now we're switching over to the final myth of today's episode, and once again it is going to be, can you be able to launch George Romero with the Flinger trap that is in Call of the Dead? So let's hop over to Black Ops 1 Plutonium, launch Call of the Dead, and see if we can launch George Romero. Myth: can you launch George Romero with the Flinger trap in Call of the Dead? Alrighty guys, so the final myth of today's episode is going to be submitted in by my friend Tyler. So with George Romero running around like a maniac, I'm going to very quickly open up the lighthouse so that way the Flinger trap can end up being ready to be used. Alright, so I'm at the lighthouse and I have enough points, so I'm going to buy it right now. And now I'm going to make my way back over to the Flinger trap, which is now good to go. And I'm going to let Dan here lure him right into it, so that way we can see if whether or not George is able to go for a ride. And without cheating, guys, let me know if you think that this myth is going to be confirmed or busted, but here we go. And when it comes to the Flinger trap, it does indeed have the ability to not only launch you, but also simultaneously it can launch George here while in Call of the Dead. So, that means that the final myth of today's episode is confirmed. George Romero can be launched by the Flinger trap in Call of the Dead. So if you're trying to use the Flinger trap to escape George, don't get too comfortable just quite yet, because if you turn around, he very well might be right behind you. Alrighty guys, but that is going to do it here for today's episode of Call of Duty Zombies Myth-Busting Mondays, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying it. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, subscribe, follow, and all that beautiful stuff. If you guys have a myth of your very own that you would like to have be featured in next week's episode, please by all means put them in the comment section down below of this video. Or also, if you guys want to, you can be able to end up submitting it in my Discord, which is going to be linked down below in this video's description. But with all that being said, guys, I do truly hope you end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTubers you're ever going to see. Thanks for watching, guys. I love all of you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the Eternal God Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!
Dan, you're going up his ass. You gotta face the other direction. You gotta go from head to ass, not ass to head.
Why does it still think I'm in prone?
You're floating while belly up. Dan, you're just floating in the funniest looking way right now.
It's amazing.
I must go. My people need me. Dun, dun, dun,
Oh, there is a
dun.
smiley face.